Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm doing a rules explanation and review of Landmarks, an upcoming game of cooperative exploration and word connections. And disclaimer that I was sent an early review copy of this one. And if you like the content on the One Stop Co-op Shop, consider supporting us through Patreon. You get early access to our videos and exclusive videos every month you can't see anywhere else. You can also listen to our podcast for reviews and design discussions, or join the conversation and come say hi on our Discord. So I can't do, unfortunately, a solo playthrough of Landmarks because this is only a 2-player plus game. It is fully cooperative because one player, sort of Mysterium style, is giving clues and knows the entire map of the island that you are exploring, while the other players are out of luck and they need to try to figure out what the clue giver is giving them and trying to explain to them. So I'll explain how the game works. First, you get a card that the clue giver can see. There are 2 different difficulties as well as a different set of cards that is for a competitive team-based mode. We're not going to talk about that. But yeah, there are a ton of cards, and this is just for one difficulty level. There's many for the yellow, harder difficulty level as well. And honestly, after playing the game like 4 times, I already forgot the first time we played. So I would call the replay value here basically infinite. I don't think you're going to memorize these unless you have eidetic memory. But yeah, so you start out with 3 tiles on the board based on the maps. You'll see P, S, and A here, Pope, Sport, and Article. So I would take 3 of these tiles that have dry erase stuff on them, and I would put them in the indicated spaces based on the map, okay, Pope, Sport, and Article. And now I can see what the rest of the map is, and I'm trying to get my allies to do a few things. Let's talk through these different terrain types. So first of all, treasures, these little yellow ones, if I can get my companions to travel there, they're basically bragging rights. They're bonus points. When you exit, when you win the game by going through the little gray exit here, if you've gotten 1, 2, or 3 treasures, you're just better than other people. So it's kind of like, what you're trying to do, but it's not entirely necessary. If you just escape, that's good too. Next most important is water. So what's going to happen every turn is I'm going to take one of the tiles and write out a word and give it to my companions, and they're going to put it somewhere, and I'm going to tell them what they got. Oh, that was a trap. Oh, that was water. Oh, that was a treasure. But eventually I'm going to run out, because I start with only 7 tiles. I'm going to run out of tiles. This is supposed to represent our water supply. So whenever my companions move to a water space, we get to refill with more tiles up to our max of 7. So you need to do that at least a few times in the game to survive. Next is the purple, the trap. There are 4 of those at the easy level. And they'll make you discard one of your water tiles and cross out the highest value so that the next time you go to a water space, you only fill up to 6. Or if you've hit 2 traps, you only fill up to 5. So it'll be harder and harder for you to get a consistent water supply going. Then the last 2 types of spaces are curses. There are 3 of them on easy maps, these red skulls, and the green amulet. If you go to 1 curse, you're bad. You got a curse hovering on you. That means that if you then go to the exit, you lose because you are leaving the island cursed and you're going to die horribly. You've seen like the old mummy movies and stuff. But if you get the amulet, it cancels out your curse. Yay! So if my compatriots went to the curse, I'd want them to get to the amulet next before we leave the exit. Because again, if you leave the exit with a curse and you haven't cured it with an amulet, you're done. But if you get a second curse, you all look. Do you see a second amulet? Because I don't. That means that you lose automatically. So the second your team goes to a second curse, or the second that they run out of water, or the second that they go onto the exit with an active curse they have not cured with an amulet, you lose. Otherwise, if you make it to the exit, you win, and you just see how many treasures you got to kind of have your bragging rights of how well you did. But now let's talk a bit more in detail about how the turn actually goes. So I figure out where I want my friends to go. Let's say that I want them to work towards this treasure down here. So I want to get them to put a tile down in P or S or A because they can only place tiles I give them adjacent to other tiles. Okay, so let's say I want to get them to go down here under the Pope one. So I write a word on the tile, and then I give it to my friends, and they are going to put it in any of the spots next to things. And they're trying to put it in a spot that is next to words that the word I gave them matches, and not next to words that it doesn't. So let's say I wrote mobile. Pope mobile, at least in my mind, those go together. But article mobile, sport mobile, those don't really match. So since they wouldn't want to put it here where it's technically connecting to all 3 or here or any of those, I would hope they would go there because Pope connects to mobile and does not connect to sport or article. Okay, next I want them to go to yellow. Now here's where it gets a little tricky because if I give them something that connects to mobile but doesn't connect to anything else, they might go there or they might go there. So sometimes you have to use like 2 tiles just to kind of narrow things down. And that's basically how the game goes. You write a word, they try to figure out what it matches and doesn't matches, they place it, you tell them, hey, you got a treasure, good job. And then, you write another word, you give it to them, hey, you got a freaking curse, oh my gosh. And that's how the game goes. You just keep on going. They can cross off on here what they found so they know, okay, there's 3 waters left. You try to get them the water as the tiles run out. That's it. That's landmarks in a nutshell. It's pretty quick to explain, and I played it on both sides of the pond. That's not the right term. I played it as both the clue giver and the clue guesser multiple times. I think it's a ton of fun, but let's go into a bit more detailed thoughts for my review. So here's what I can say about the game, okay? And this is, I think, a very high compliment for me and my taste. So if this matches your taste, you might really like this game. So this game reminds me most of So Clover and Codenames. And if you know those games, they are both great kind of word-based games. Actually, I just happen to have my copy of So Clover on the pile next to me. So Clover is the one where you're like putting like little combinations of words together and trying to get them to guess like where those cards fit. You get that sort of feeling in Landmarks too, because you're trying to figure out, okay, which word fits mobile, which word doesn't fit Pope, which word doesn't, I don't know why I erased these, which word doesn't fit sport, which word doesn't fit article, and which word does fit this. So you're kind of making fun connections in your head as the clue giver, and then as the guessers, you're trying to like figure out which connections they were making and what they were going for. And then at the same time, it kind of has that Codenames feel because you're trying to get them to like connect words to some things, but not to others. It kind of feels like avoiding the assassin or avoiding the other enemy's things, trying to get them like not to name the bad things. But what I love about this game, what I love about it, is that the theme is so much stronger and so much more entertaining than those games. Don't get me wrong, I still love So Clover, I still love Codenames, and I think they're like a little bit easier to explain than this one probably, although I played this with my 8-year-old and my 11-year-old, so clearly it's not too hard to explain. But in those ones, you're just like putting words down to put words down and yay, the game's done. In this one, you're exploring an island and like avoiding the traps, the terror of getting a curse, the excitement of trying to get to a treasure, seeing your water run down. At least for me and my family, it's really ramped up the tension, the fun, the excitement of the game. So again, I won't say it would replace So Clover. I wouldn't say it would replace Codenames. If I only have like 10 minutes to play with somebody, I just want to play something super dead simple that I can explain to anybody in a second, I would still probably pick those games. But honestly, if I'm playing with my family, if I'm playing with friends, if I'm playing with gamers, and I have just a little bit more time to get into something a little bit more meaty, I think I'm going to pick Landmarks every time because it takes that basic fun of those kind of word games and word association games and ramps it up greatly with that theme, with that excitement, with just so much variety. And it really is varied because you can't use the exact same clues every time. It's very smart how they have these starting words because it's going to send you down weird rabbit holes of connections that'll be completely different from the next time you play. And the maps will make things completely different than the next time you play. And again, they have a competitive mode. I'm not going to try that personally. And they also have these much harder ones that have like way more of the bad things and more water. And it's just kind of like a more epic experience overall. Now, who will this game not work for? First of all, if you've played with your friends in So Clover or Codenames or those kind of games and you have somebody that takes forever to think of what to write down, don't make them the clue giver because this game can have analysis paralysis where you're like trying to think of the exact right thing that'll match that and not match that. So we have not run into downtime problems with that. But again, if you have people in your group that do that kind of thing, don't let them be the clue giver. Problem solved. Now, the other potential problem is alpha player and one person kind of taking over the guessing. You again see that in like Codenames and So Clover and Similo and all those kind of games where like one person can be like, well, I know what the answer is and kind of push everybody else down to an answer. The game doesn't do anything to fix that. There's no like hidden information or like role ownership of each player. So again, if that is your group and you have sort of that dynamic, this might not be the best game for you because that one person, well, I guess make them the clue giver and then maybe it's fixed, but otherwise it could sour the experience somewhat. And then finally, just be aware that sometimes you're going to give a clue and there are multiple directions they can go, and like one direction will take them to a curse and one direction will take them to water. Now you can avoid that by giving other clues first. Like if I wanted to, I don't know, get like around this way and not have them go to like that curse, then I might say something that applies to sport but not to article, and then I might say something that just applies to that new world and not to article. So sometimes you have to kind of build inroads and create spots that you can then build off of to get to challenging places. So sometimes like it does require kind of thinking a few turns ahead. I think that's great. I think it's more strategic. But again, if you're looking for like a very light, easy party game, this might be just a hair more harrowing and challenging than that would be for your group. But yeah, I friggin' love this one. I was blown away by how much fun I had with this. I want to play it a lot more with my family. Definitely a keeper in my group. And I'm excited to see how it lands at Gen Con and how other people like it. Okay, so that was Landmarks. Thanks for watching, everybody. And I'd like to say a big thank you to our biggest Patreon supporters, Minkus, J. Willie MF, Steve Wren, and Pedro Lucas. Thanks, and good gaming, everyone. I'll see you at the next stop.